Hey everyone, happy Friday. Hope everyone has had a great week so far. My week has been somewhat less stressful than previous weeks, um, which is a good thing. Kind of stress always comes and goes, and the past couple of weeks have been a little bit higher than I'd like it to be, but kind of wrapped up some work projects, and the past 2 days at least have been a little bit less stressful, which is always a good thing. Um, Today, I wanted to talk about something that I might dive deeper on in a future blog post, but it's kind of something I've just been noodling on since this recent research article was released last week. And basically, the paper that these researchers released was just describing a new food ranking system. This is coming from research from Tufts University. And basically, I think we're kind of all familiar with what food ranking systems are, but basically they're trying to give a ranking to any individual food to tell us whether this food is probably something we should eat or something we should probably avoid. Um, and really, to date, I think most of the food ranking systems that have been out there pretty much made very little to no impact on our dietary choices, given the fact that our in general the weight of the human population as well as the chronic diseases that we're all suffering from is on a rapid rise. So people still choose to eat very highly processed, nutrient void foods, even though there are many different ways of people determining which foods you should eat or not eat. Right? And this new food ranking system takes an approach of ranking things by on a score from 0 to 100. And there's a whole different, I actually haven't dove into exactly everything that goes into ranking the food. So what characteristics, make up that. I'm sure it's probably what you're familiar with: the fat, protein, carbohydrate content, the calories, the types of fats, the type of carbohydrates, are there sugars, is the food processed, is it a whole food, etc., etc. But I was reading through some of the supplementary data that they provide with the research, and they make a kind of a what to me is a kind of a crazy comparison, which really just I can't for the life of me rationalize or understand. Basically, what they do is they use an example of comparing sweet potato chips and versus bulgur, which is if you're not familiar with that, it's a whole grain, kind of like a couscous or rice or something like that. And they start out by describing, ranking, different types, different forms of sweet potatoes. So they say sweet potato baked, peel not eaten, fat not added in cooking is a score of a 79 out of 100. So not bad, right? A sweet potato baked, peeled, not eaten, made with oil, 74. Again, they don't specify what type of oil that was made with, so we could argue about that. Sweet potato French fries from fresh that were baked, not fried, are also 74. So I don't know why, if you bake a sweet potato fry versus frying a sweet potato, they have the same score, but apparently they do. And sweet potato chips, which they don't really specify how the sweet potato chips are cooked or fried or made, but you can assume they're probably fried. I guess that's how chips are made, right? In general, are 69, right? So, a sweet potato can be ranked anywhere from a 79 out of 100 down to a 69 out of 100, right? And they go through and describe, all the vitamins and carbs, fats, and proteins in a sweet potato, etc., right? Which is all well and good. And then they kind of compare it to this whole grain called bulgur. Again, they do a fair job of comparing it from calorie perspective, right? So they compare both from 150 calories of each. But just this should just set you off to begin with, right? 150 calories of sweet potato chips is 28 grams, and 150 calories of bulgur is 1 cup, right? Okay, so we have a huge disparity in the food volume. They basically say that using this new food ranking system, that while traditionally bulgur would be thought to be a better choice, that actually sweet potato chips are a better choice than bulgur, right? Because of the quote unquote healthy fats that are in sweet potato chips. Some of the vitamins are higher, et cetera, right? So, first of all, I'm not turning to sweet potato chips or bulgur as a source of protein, fats, or vitamins, to be honest with you, right? Maybe sweet potatoes, you could make an argument they're pretty high in vitamin A, but for the most part, that's not where I'm looking to get most of my vitamins, my fats, or my proteins from. So that's one thing we should probably just take out of the equation. There are much better sources of healthy fats and protein, and whether that be plant-based or not, and vitamins and minerals than sweet potatoes and bulgur. But regardless of that, right? I think the biggest point here that this whole thing is missing, and that they don't take into account, is the hyperpalatability of sweet potato chips. Who's going to eat 28 grams of sweet potato chips and just stop? Just because they're sweet potato chips doesn't make them any difference than Lay's baked potato chips or barbecue chips or whatever. Pick your favorite chip, right? Anyone can easily down a whole bag of sweet potato chips, okay? You're not going to eat more than a cup of bulgur, plain bulgur. You're just not going to do it. It's just bland. You're just not going to do it, right? So while, yeah, 28 grams and 1 cup of these two foods is exactly the same caloric intake, what matters is in real life is it's not gonna make a difference, because you're gonna eat way more sweet potato chips than you are bulgur. So I don't see how that really helps you. Just because that food is ranked higher or the same or whatever, according to these arbitrary guidelines that they've come up with, it doesn't stop the person from overeating the food. So in my mind, I would say if you're going to choose between sweet potato chips and bulgur, choose bulgur, because the average person isn't going to overeat it. And the average person doesn't need to overeat, right? So that it completely misses that point, right? And this is why, and the other thing is, and this is, I think, why any food ranking system is just, it's pointless, right? Because the other issue here is that there's bias built into these food ranking systems, and clearly there's bias built into this food ranking system because of the way they've ranked whole food animal source proteins, right? I'm not talking about processed meat. We can argue over hot dogs or sausage and salami. I'm talking about like things just like eggs, or fish, or just chicken breast. Forget the red meat. I don't even care about that stuff. They're all ranked really low, right? Even though I could make a very strong argument that if we're talking about, where to get your protein from and where to get your vitamins and minerals from, these foods are pretty good, much better than sweet potato chips and bulgur. But yet they'd be ranked lower than those two foods. So there's always some kind of bias built into it. And at the end of the day, besides the bias, besides whatever argument you want to make against it, it's not that we don't have the knowledge as to know which foods are good for us and which foods are bad for us, right? Clearly we know any food that is not coming out of a package or a box or a wrapper or whatever is going to be better for us than something in a package, a box, or a wrapper, right? It's almost always the case. If you're shopping for produce, meats, vegetables, nuts, seeds, that type of stuff, it's fresh, it's not coming in a box or a package or a wrapper, you're good. It's good. It's better, right? That's all you really need to know, right? Anything, that's always going to be better than something's coming in. I can make the exception for like frozen vegetables, right? Frozen vegetables, they're pretty much vegetables just frozen. They come in a bag, right? Okay, outside of those nuances, right? But if you're shopping for whole fresh foods, you're good, right? That's all you really need to know. That those foods are going to be better than the other foods. Then you need to decide, out of all those foods, which foods are going to be best for me. Well, that's individual, right? Because I might do fine with sweet potatoes. I might love them. They might taste great for me. But someone else might do better with white rice. And that's fine too, right? That's okay too. Or someone else might do better with oatmeal. Great, fine, right? But you need to listen to your own body to decide what foods are the best for you, right? Because some people do fine on a plant-based diet. They don't need animal sources of protein. Great. Their body, digestion's great, sleep's great, performance in the gym's great. They have a lot of muscle mass. They're healthy. Their blood profile looks good. They have, all the energy they need. They can function at work. They can do everything they want to do, and they feel absolutely amazing. They don't have to eat animal protein. Great, keep going, doing that. That's fine with me, right? Clearly, they don't need animal sources of protein. Fine. Other people are the complete opposite, right? If they have any kind of vegetables or a small amount of vegetables, everything goes to hell for them, right? And so, universally, vegetables are considered good, but yet some people just can't deal with them, right? And that means that food isn't good for them, right? If they eat that food, they don't sleep well, they don't perform well, they can't build the right muscle mass because they're not digesting and assimilating the nutrients that they need because it's going right through them, causing them all kinds of digestive issues. So they need to limit their vegetable intake, and they need to consume more protein, more animal sources of protein, and they do fine on that. And that's okay. That's cool, right? But that is what's determining the best foods for them. So instead of relying on some kind of government, landscapers are blowing the leaves, which is great timing. Instead of relying on someone else to tell you what foods are best for you and what foods are good for you, listen to your body. You eat the food and then observe what happens. How's your mental performance? How do you feel? Are you sleepy, tired? Do you sleep well? Is your digestion good? Is your performance in the gym good? Do you enjoy eating the food? Do you feel full? Does it make you feel full? Does it make you overeat? Does it make you undereat? You need to be the judge for ranking your own foods. And that's how it should be, right? So, yes, I'm upset about this this new food ranking system. I think it's crazy. I think it's a complete failure, unfortunately. But I don't think that's any different from any other food ranking system that's out there. So really, the best way to rank the foods that you want to eat and what foods are best for you is yourself. You can look at the guidelines. You can say, okay, in general, these things appear to be better than these other things. But in general, that's always going to be whole unprocessed foods are going to be better than processed foods, right? That's 98% of all food ranking systems, right? Just go with that. And then the rest of it, just figure out yourself. And then you learn for yourself what's good, what's bad, and you got yourself what works for you. And that's how I really work with my clients. That's how I work with myself. That's how I think that everyone needs to do it. But it takes a little bit of work and a little bit of effort. But it's the ultimate guide and the ultimate food ranking system. All right, enough ranting. I hope that was useful, and I hope you enjoyed it. Yeah, if you want to get all the content that I put out on a weekly basis, please go to my website, rjbhealth.coach. Click the newsletter link at the top, and you can sign up for the newsletter, and you'll get these videos as well as my blog posts sent out to your inbox every week, so you don't have to stalk me on social media. If you're interested in one-on-one coaching, please also go to my website, rjbhealth.coach. Excuse me. And click the schedule discovery call button on the homepage, and you can fill out the form, and I'll get back to you, and we can talk more about health coaching and how I might be able to help you achieve your goals. And I hope everyone has a great weekend and does something fun. The weather here in New Hampshire is going to be nice fall weather, so we're going to spend some time outside, I think, doing some fun activities with the family. And with that, I'll talk to everyone next week. Have a good weekend.